Hey, all you struggling hunters out there, welcome to another podcast with the struggling hunters. You got me, myself, Joe, and you have on the other side over there, Eric. And welcome to another episode. Episode 86 is where we're at. And, hopefully in the next little bit, we got some topics we're going to discuss. One of them is going to be a topic from one of the hunting articles that we read. And then being that I'm in Utah and I didn't fill my my elk tag, and then taking the kind of this ethics course, I can hunt the late season areas in Utah. So we're going to discuss or talk about my hunt from this previous Saturday. So that's kind of what what the show is looking at. So hopefully listening to some of that, and we'll help motivate you guys to hit that subscribe button and like, and just help support us that way. But I guess with that being said, we'll kind of just dive in and talk about our article. So the article is 10 tips for bow hunting elk. And the first one is, I don't know, I guess I forgot to really narrate or ask I know we were going to have you talk about it, Eric, but I'll go ahead and let you take it from here instead of letting me steal your thunder again.
I know, Joe, always trying to take the stage away from me.
I should just be called like the Big Show or something, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe, the Big Show. There you go. I like that. Joe, the Big Show. From now on, you got to introduce yourself like that. Yeah, I'm Joe, the Big Show. So this article comes from American Hunter that we found online. It just has simple tips on it that we kind of liked and we wanted to go through. I can't remember for sure if we explained it last week on the podcast that we were going to start this week, but here we go. So number one is, or the article is 10 tips for bow hunting elk. And number one is getting in shape. And that's probably the most important one. And I think, we all struggle with it, especially during the off season, holidays, after after the hunting seasons in general, it's really easy to start falling off because you got Halloween and the candy left over from the kids that, you didn't get rid of all your candy, stealing your own kids' candy. And then you roll right over to Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas right after that. It's really easy. I mean, I know I struggle with it every year. I'll be honest. I struggle with it. Starts off with too many candy bars after Halloween, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. And I gain a quick 10. And then the rest of the year, I'm trying to get in some kind of shape and finding excuses to not get in shape. So with that said, number one, get in shape. I think that's the most important, especially for longevity. If you're getting older, you're in your 30s. I'm in my upper 30s now. So for me, it's getting more and more important to try to actually constantly stay in shape.
Right.
In my 20s, I felt like I could really get away with it, and I seemed like I could be a couch potato for 6 months, jump off of it, run for a couple of days, and I was in okay shape again. And it's only went downhill since I turned 30. So
right.
It becomes more of a challenge. Sorry, Big Show.
That's all right. I realize I cast a big shadow and you're just trying to overtake it, but I was gonna say, we'll kind of, as we got going into this, and we talked about another podcast, and especially after going through the Fred Bear's 10 Commandments, and the one that was that your hunting season begins when the end of the season comes. And that's kind of, as far as like getting in shape, and kind of like you said, one of the top things you feel as it is getting in shape. And it's so, like, I guess I'm just backtracking everything, and or second doing I agree,
Yeah.
is,
Seconding everything that I'm saying.
yeah, having kind of how important it is to stay in shape. And even though, how many times that did the old guys be like, oh, if I was your age, I'd start getting in shape now. It's harder to
Yeah.
lose when you're my age. And you're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Come to find out they were right. That's amazing.
Right.
It's ridiculous. If younger guys would actually just listen to the older guys and stop thinking they knew everything, who knows how far they'd be whenever they got older. But it seems like a repeated cycle. Everybody, when you're young, you're like, whatever. I'm in okay shape now.
Right. It's just funny, like how, yeah, just comprehending that wisdom that they're trying to give you. And like,
Yeah.
you can't comprehend it because, like that, in that point in life, when you're younger, you just bounce back so quick and easily that you can't quite comprehend what that's like to not be able to do that.
Yeah. 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 So, I'll tell you one thing about getting in shape, especially during bow hunting. I feel like bow hunting, because you got to close the distance so much. Rifle, you can get away with it a little bit. You see them from a distance. You can try to close that gap a little bit, but you can still, I mean, nowadays with the long range and stuff, that's a whole nother situation. But you can, rifle, you don't have to close the distance as much. Now you are going to hike around just as much or whatever, but archery, I do feel like being in better shape helps you a lot more, because you got to be within that 60 yards at minimum, or
Right. Well, the one thing too that I've kind of picked up on is, like it was closing that gap. But on top of that, it seems like, one of the things I've learned from this year that I'm trying to take into next year is you got to be on the move. Like, if you don't see an elk in that canyon, it's not like you just sit down and wait all day there, like you typically, I guess that might work, but more often than not, you got to go from canyon to canyon until you discover where the elk are at.
yeah, I think kind of a caveat to that, like if without a doubt they're in that canyon,
True.
you could probably get away with staying there a little bit.
True.
But if you're that's the hardest part of archery hunting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I talk like I'm a pro at it, but I've
Well,
only
you are.
done archery. Yeah, I've only done archery 1 year, but I will say the hardest part, and where you put in the most miles, is the locating part.
Right.
Trying to locate where they're at, figure out where they're at. Once you do that, then yeah, it's a little, then you change your game plan a little bit, but you can exhaust miles a day just trying to figure out where they're at.
True.
And so, yeah, getting in shape is so important. And I know I have goals. I would love to do this stuff till, into my 80s, if I could get away with it,
Right.
and so for that, it's so important to stay in shape. And
Well, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off again. I to tell you, when you give me the nickname the Big Show, I'm sure gonna take it.
I know you've kind of ran away with this big show thing.
But I just wanted to, I guess, kind of touch on, we talk about getting in shape, and I guess we should say too, like, like, okay, what does that entail? Does that just mean cut your carbs so that way you're 5% body fat, or or train certain uh body parts so that way it's a little easier for you when you're out there, I guess
Yeah,
there's an overall shape, but I don't know, is there something that you think we should be focusing on a little bit more over others?
I think it's a mixture of I mean, like what is that, hit cardio,
Yes,
or circuit training? Um, yeah,
because
circuit
I
training
guess
kind of.
in a way, like we were talking about going in and out of the canyons. It'd be nice to, like, yeah, drop down into a canyon somewhere, and then hike down the bottom of it up the other side or whatnot, and not lose your breath. But that's fine and all till you get an elk down, and then you gotta got to have the core strength to pack that elk out too.
Oh, for sure, for sure. That's where I think weight training is just as important. Uh, Honestly, what I really, if you're going to a gym, if you get a gym membership, and honestly, I think you should do it probably 3 or 4 months before you start hunting. I'm not saying that I'm even the best at that too. I mean, I'm the guy that's like, hunt season starting tomorrow, so I'm gonna get in shape today. But if you're at a gym, the stair climbers,
Oh,
I
right.
think, really help you get in cardio shape for the up and down, up hills, and or the treadmill, and just maxing it out to the steepest level.
Right.
Kind of helps build those muscles, and kind of that way, whenever you're out there in the woods, it's kind of more muscle memory in theory.
Right.
But then you also have a 25 to 30 pound pack on your back. So
Correct. That's, yeah. And
that,
then till you add meat to it, then you're roughly about an 80, maybe an 80 between a 70 and 100 pound pack too.
yeah. And that's why I think, uh, like weightlifting, doing deadlifts or squats or whatever, getting those legs nice and
Right.
putting some muscle on those legs. So make your carry outs a little easier.
Yeah.
Doing ab workouts too. I don't know if a lot of people talk about that, but I think, your doing abs, is pretty important, just for the simple fact that, I mean, that's your core, that's your stability, right?
Well,
So
one of the things that I guess here I'm going to open my mouth and I'll probably stick my foot in it. But as you watch like marathon runners, and as they get close to the finish line or even halfway through, like they start like leaning backwards, or start leaning to a side or the other. Like, those guys are in awesome shape, but they don't have their core built up to it. The muscles needed to hold themselves upright at that distance. Like
that's
their back muscles aren't as strong as they need to be to keep them upright, or core, I guess, stomach muscles too, to hold everything up where it needs to be.
yeah,
Like, yeah, they can run like no other, but they don't have those other muscles built up.
that's interesting. I never really thought about that. I feel like the core can be one of those things that are missed. A lot of people, men especially, go to the gym and either want to do all the deadlifts, or, I mean, deadlifts technically works out every muscle, but either that or works out the arms or the chest, and
Yeah.
the ab or the core gets missed quite a bit.
Right.
Most, I I know I do ab stuff, like probably 3 or 4 times a week. Not saying I'm in good shape or anything, but I'll just tell you, I have an ab wheel, and I just pump out like 15 of those in the morning, and
Uh-huh.
uh, so I have a strong core, but I've been doing it for a long time, or for a while. I can't say a long time, but for a while. But with me saying that, though, I know one thing that's really made a difference is back pain and stuff. I don't really have back pain anymore. I'll say that, then I'll end up injuring myself now, but I'll just knock on wood real quick. But anyway, yeah, I yeah, sorry, I got distracted. Gonna I'll just say it, we're gonna have a hard out. We're just gonna do a 20-minute, and this was supposed to be all nice and short, and we've almost went our whole time
Right.
just on this. So I looked up at the clock and I was like, oh, we kind of blew that out of the water. But but anyways, yeah, no, working your core though, like doing that, like me doing that ab wheel, it definitely helped kind of take away back pain. I haven't had back pain in a while. So
Cool.
but yeah, getting in shape. So yeah, I mean, getting in shape, I think is pretty important. And I mean, obviously, I mean, it's not a secret. It's not like I'm, hey,
Right.
I get the Nobel Prize
Well,
this year because I said get in shape. But
right. Well, that's just like the thing. Like, if you really want to enjoy your hunting experience, like, how miserable is it when you got to like climb a hill and you're just sucking wind the whole time and you're just hating life because you're out of shape and it sucks. And like the only way to get back to the truck is to climb that hill, and like no one's going to do it for you. But if you can get in shape, it helps kind of make your hunt a little more enjoyable as well.
For sure. Well, with that said, I mean, I think we kind of beat getting in shape to death.
Yeah,
tonight.
we did.
So with that said, let's move on to the next thing is Joe, I didn't really ask you how it went. I mean, obviously I didn't get a phone call. So I imagine it went, I kind of imagine how it went, but
yeah.
How did it go this weekend? How did you get out there? Like, I didn't even know you were going to go hunting. So I'm kind of curious, like, what made you get out there this weekend?
So I finally had a free weekend that didn't have anything going on. And like I said, I'm doing the extended elk archery hunt, and that ends December 15th. And so I was like, well, I want to go out and do something, before my season ends. So I did my online test, which gave me the permission, or test or ethics course, whatever you want to call it, to get out there. And it was I had this spot in mind that I wanted to go. So last year there was a guy in this spot that I got there just after sun up, and he had a rifle, late season rifle tag, cow tag. And he's like, oh man, I just got done kind of scoping some elk out over here. They got into the scrub oak, and it's some tall scrub oak and thick, big areas that's covered in it. And so I was like, well, I want to get up to that spot before the sun comes up. So that way, I have, and it's on a little rise, and I can watch, a couple different ravines, and actually it's almost like 180 degree field of view. And so I got there, and I got watching the sun come up, and there was some runners that came running by, and I thought I was the only hunter, but I got looking before those guys came up there, got looking up the trail above me, and there's another hunter, hiking around in front of me. I was like, man, I didn't see any headlamps in front of me. And I think looked like there's another trail that got cut in. And I was like, I didn't see anyone in front of me. But anyways, I sat there till it got light and looking around, and nothing was moving. So I was like, well, I'll get up and move up to the next spot. And like I said, that those runners came running by, and they said hi, good morning. And I said hi back to them. And then I start hiking up, and then that hunter that I saw, and that was up the trail in front of me, he come hiking back down. And he's like, oh, you must have not have got your elk this year, huh? No. He's like, I see you're carrying your bow, and I know that that archery elk late season still open. I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm just up here turkey hunting. And he's like, I haven't seen anything up. We got kind of talking for a minute. It's like, I haven't seen anything up this high. And then he goes, oh, he's like, hey, by the way, I saw like 4 cows and a spike up there in the next bowl, but those 2 runners came running by with their music blaring and talking all loud. It was kind of funny because he gets kind of like irritated, like, oh, they're ruining my hunt. And it's just, I was like, well, you can't get too mad. I didn't tell him, it's their public land too, it is what it is. So he's like, so if you're lucky though, you might be able to bump into them again. So I went up and kind of spent the rest of the day. There was 2 other bowls, not 2 other ravines, I guess, that I set in and just glassed the rest of the day, but I didn't see anything but moosettes, two cow mooses. And they were away from me. But God, talking about being in shape. So I did a total of like 8 miles. And
you were getting with it then.
Yeah. So it was 4 miles in and 4 miles out.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, but so it combined about 8 miles. But man, it was like doing that ridge line hiking, you know, so it wasn't like a straight up, it was all up and down. And
Yeah.
call that kind of that wore me out coming out that night. I was like, oh, I'm ready to be done.
I bet. I bet.
But you know, and I was trying to think, sat here trying to do some takeaways. I just thought it was interesting that last year I guess there was some snow, colder weather last year. We've gotten some snow, but we haven't really got snow yet. And so nothing's been pushed down. And it was just, I just thought it was interesting that I went to the spot where last year a guy said he saw some elk, but yet I wasn't high enough to see the elk that are there this year. And I probably should have maybe thought that through a little bit more. I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. Elk are where they are. And being that this area is only kind of good if there's snow up higher to push them down lower. So it's, you know, it wasn't. The other takeaway I can take away from this weekend is for that spot that I got in the morning, I took off like before the sun came up, or crest, you know, like before the sun shone on the side that I was sitting at. Like it was plenty light out. I could see just fine. It was, but then as I took off hiking, I looked back and the sun was just starting to crest over the top and actually shining on where I was looking. And then I started to see deer. So I don't know if that, you know, if that means anything of like the deer getting up moving when the sun comes up, if I would have seen elk in there, you know, like coming out to eat when the sun was out. I don't know if that has really anything to do,
Were you
but
seeing much sign?
I didn't see any sign.
Yeah.
And it's not like like I said, it's not like an elk habitat where they're for sure going to be. Last year I saw some sign, but I wasn't wanting to drop clear down into the canyons like I did last year.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you.
I was like, I ain't seen nothing. If I saw something, I would for sure dove down, but I couldn't see anything to make me excited about diving off. And then I saw just like, you know, a bunch of deer, but you know, I think as far as bucks go, a couple little forking horns and a 3x2, but nothing big, you know, nothing like, oh yeah, that there would be a shooter buck.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I guess, the extent of my hunt. I got real excited. I sent Eric a text. It's like, oh, this turkey hunter said he just saw 3 or a handful of elk up here. Hopefully I get into them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
pretty excited.
Yeah, I was excited for you. Just, I mean, I was like, oh man, you know, he has a chance. I mean, if they're there, they'll, you know, hopefully they'll still be there whenever he gets there. And
Which they probably would have if it wasn't for the dang hikers, but
yeah,
they get to do that too.
yeah, yeah. But we do pay for it. We
True.
pay for.
True.
I mean, I'm just saying. That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing about. I mean, it's public land. It's all of our land, and it's a beautiful thing to have this much public land and everything. But whenever you're paying for
your tags and
your extracurricular activity, and then they have the audacity to give you a dirty look because you're on the same hiking trails that you're like, you didn't even pay to be here.
True. Yeah, the cohabitation is a little heavy or a little different.
I always had that. I mean, it was never like I got in a conflict or anything, but you know, you hear people talk about that when I was riding motorcycle all the time, and we pay our little tag or whatever every year,
Yeah.
and for a little sticker to be on those backwoods and trails and stuff, and somebody on their pedal bike, you know, and they're like giving you the snob look, you know, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, I at least paid for this, and technically motorcyclists or us dirt bikers, we created most of these trails anyway for you to ride on. So you should be thanking us and not, you know. But anyways, it's just kind of funny.
It is.
Just funny
Oh,
how it works.
yeah. Well, that's about what I had for my. I might go out this next Saturday. I'm not sure.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure.
I was good. That was my other question is how long is your hunt again? I know
Till,
you probably tell me all the time, but I forget.
till the 15th.
Oh, of this month?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you better get on it.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a good snow, man, get up because you're just up by your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a good snow, you might want to go out there and
True.
if because I don't know if we're getting snow anytime soon or not, but
We have snow in the forecast the next for Thursday and Friday, I believe. So
I think yeah, I think we do too. So I mean, it doesn't matter over here, I guess, but yeah,
yeah,
I mean it's coming. So
yeah. So if it, I haven't quite decided where I'm going to go, but I'll decide.
10-4. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, I'll get us out of here. Do you have any finishing thoughts?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, my finishing thought is next week, wear your sunglasses, big show. And for everybody else, thanks for listening for another week. Appreciate it. I've, you know, been seeing some growth. I mean, I know we've said this all before, but been seeing some growth on the platforms and you know the views are actually kind of up and so
Yeah.
just appreciate everybody giving us a shot and all you guys that have you know commented and been around for a while. Definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. I mean, really gives us the motivation to keep doing the thing and
Yes.
so thank you guys. We are the Struggling Hunters, the Big Show, and myself. We're out.
Bye.